It was Christmas Eve, 1945. The Sodder family was nestled in their West Virginia home, celebrating the holiday. But as the clock struck midnight, a fire broke out, consuming their home. 5 of the 10 Sodder children were believed to have perished in the flames. Yet, when the ashes cooled, there were no bodies, no remains, nothing. What happened to the Sodder children? Was it a tragic accident or something far more sinister? Today, we explore the mystery that has haunted this family for nearly 80 years. The Sodder family lived in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jenny Sodder were Italian immigrants raising 10 children. George owned a successful trucking business, and by all accounts, they were a close-knit family. But George's strong opinions about Benito Mussolini and his outspoken criticism of fascism earned him enemies in the local Italian-American community. On Christmas Eve, 1945, the Sodders were celebrating. After the younger children went to bed, George and Jenny stayed awake, as did some of their older children. Around 12:30 a.m., Jenny woke to a strange phone call. A woman's voice asked for someone who didn't live there. Jenny heard laughter and clinking glasses in the background. She hung up and went back to bed, but soon after, she was awakened again, this time by the sound of something hitting the roof, followed by a loud thud. Moments later, the house was engulfed in flames. George, Jenny, and 4 of their children managed to escape. But 5 children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were trapped upstairs. George tried to save them. He broke a window to re-enter the house, cutting his arm in the process. He tried to retrieve a ladder to reach the upstairs windows, but the ladder was missing. He attempted to start his trucks to drive them closer to the house, but mysteriously, neither vehicle would start. The family could only watch as their home burned to the ground. By the time the fire department arrived, hours later, there was nothing left but ashes. Here's where things get strange. After the fire, authorities claimed that the 5 children's bodies had been completely incinerated, but experts disagreed. Even in an intense fire, bones and teeth should remain. Yet no remains were ever found in the Sodders' home. Jenny Sodder conducted her own experiments. She burned animal bones in her stove, but even after hours of exposure to high heat, the bones didn't disintegrate. This raised a chilling question. Did the children die in the fire at all? Adding to the mystery, neighbors reported seeing the missing children in a car driving away from the Sodder home during the fire. And months later, a bus driver passing through Fayetteville claimed he saw the children's faces pressed against the window of another vehicle. Theory 1. A targeted arson attack. Some believe the fire was no accident. George's outspoken political views made him a target. Shortly before the fire, a man visited the Sodder home, warning George that his house would go up in smoke because of his anti-fascist comments. Additionally, the family's phone lines had been cut before the fire, further suggesting foul play. Theory 2. Kidnapping by enemies. Another theory is that the children were kidnapped. Perhaps someone wanted to hurt George by taking his children, and the fire was a distraction. This theory gained traction years later, when Jenny received a photograph in the mail. It showed a young man resembling her missing son, Louis, with a cryptic note on the back reading, "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. Ill boys. A 90,132 or 35. The photo's origin remains unknown. Theory 3. A conspiracy involving local authorities. Some suspect a cover-up. The fire chief claimed to have found a small piece of human remains during the investigation, but didn't report it immediately. When the Sodders pressed for answers, They were met with resistance,